Hi everyone, still on the sofa. The dining room table is full of stuff and the cat is behind my husband's head. It's not just a weird shape or anything, that's Kit. Meow. So, welcome to our...
Best reads of 2020.
Yeah, I forgot the words there for a minute.
That's a good start.
Mine, as usual, are in no particular order. I'm not that dedicated and organised. Sorry, I'm not that kind of person.
And I've got 10, which I did have hopefully arranged in some semblance of order here.
I've got more than 10. Do you know I've got more than 10 here?
You can do what you like. I mean, I've gone for 10. If you want to do more than 10, then that's cheating, but you know.
I've got 18 books here.
Okay, well, I've got 10. She's got 10.
Yeah, I had a good year. Okay, as I have more books to get through, I'm going to start off quite early on in the year with Ahsoka by E.K. Johnson. As you've probably guessed by the title, this is linked to Star Wars. It's a book that's set between the Clone Wars TV series and the Rebels TV series, and follows Ahsoka Tano, who trained under Anakin Skywalker before he turned all nasty. And we see her transitioning from one series to another series. Okay, hopefully that's relatively spoiler free for you.
Oh, it's nice to know where these things...
Yes, yeah, but there we go. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. E.K. Johnson's fantastically wrote the character. Yeah, I love my girl Ahsoka, I really do. And to see her on page and doing her thing and finding her own path and all that was awesome. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a Disney Star Wars fan, I do recommend Ahsoka to read.
And you read it before you saw it on screen on The Mandalorian?
I did. So there you go.
Do you want to do another one?
Okay, so my second yay book of the year is The Library of the Unwritten. This was an impulse buy from Waterstones because it had library on the title and came recommended by the book chat. So I really like this one. That's Hell's Library. All the unfinished documents and stories and that go into Hell's Library, and there's a librarian who has to look after everything, and there's shenanigans going on within Hell itself, and God, it's been a long year because I can't quite remember it, but it's really, really good. It is well worth reading, and there is a sequel coming out end of this month, which has been pushed. Yeah, it's been pushed back a few months, so I'm waiting hugely for this book.
My 10th best read of 2020 is the Star Wars Infinities books. I did one, A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, which I have in physical form. I haven't actually got Return of the Jedi. I tried reading it as an ebook, but lost the will to live because it's an ebook.
Ah, it's the ebook problem.
Yeah, reading on screen, I don't like reading on screen, particularly if it's a comic. Comics on screen.
No, it's not good.
Nightmare.
No.
Anyway, but these are what ifs, and I always love a good what ifs. And so A New Hope looks at the entire original trilogy, assuming that Luke missed that critical shot that blew up the Death Star. Yavin gets blown up, the Alliance is scattered, and things go on from there. It's really interesting twist on the whole theme there, and I thought that's fantastic. The Empire Strikes Back is a re-look at The Empire Strikes Back, the film itself. It doesn't go on to the conclusion of it all like A New Hope did, but that one is Luke dies on Hoth. He escapes the Wampa cave, he falls down in the snow, Han finds him, but too late, he's dead.
He's dead, Jim.
And so Leia ends up going to Dagobah and gets trained by Yoda. So.
Yay!
Yeah, so really interesting stuff, really interesting developments there, and I can't praise them enough. And I want to read the third one, I just need to get a physical copy to do so.
We can do that this year. My next favourite book of the year was a reread book for me, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. So I know that one. This is the first book in the Expanse series, which is now being adapted by Amazon Prime as a TV series, which is awesome. And
Brilliant.
The books are just fantastic. Leviathan Wakes focuses on Miller and Holden, are two main characters, as they end up getting tied up in a big
conspiracy.
A big conspiracy, and they enter the story from two very different angles. So you've got like the crime noir angle with Miller, he's a
detective.
Yeah, he's a down on his luck, end of his line detective, and Holden, who's this bright-eyed, optimistic young captain who just wants to do the absolute best for humanity, and it all blows up in his face.
Yep.
It's an awesome sci-fi drama series. It is compared to Game of Thrones so many times. Please don't do that. The Expanse and the books are just amazing, satisfying drama in a sci-fi setting about humanity and how crap we are as a species, and we really, really don't know when to shut up and be nice to each other. I love it so much.
Yeah, me too. Brilliant stuff. I ought to mention that I have ignored all rereads from my top 10. You're allowed to, it's fine. But I figured, if I was going to reread it, of course I'm going to like it anyway. So there are a whole bunch of books that you might have expected me to put on here, but because they're a reread, I've discounted them. So my 9th most popular book was Double or Nothing. This is a Quantum Leap book. And these novels fill in extra adventures for Sam and Al from the TV series. And this time, Sam jumps into identical twins, but doesn't know that he's in the other one as well. And of course, they're miles away from each other doing completely different things. So he's two people, but takes on the characteristics of the good one and the evil one, as it were.
As it were, yeah.
And of course, Al can't find him because there's this problem with the fact he's in two different places. And so he goes through most of the stories on his own. And
pretty damn screwed up as well. He seems to have inherited an awful lot from the guys he's leapt in, and he's a bit of a mess, really.
Yeah, so really good. Right? I liked it when it took it in a completely different direction. It wasn't just another by your numbers adventure. This really did do different things. My only complaint was the edition that I read it from had some horrific typos in it.
I think it was Box Tree.
Yeah, I think it's a Box Tree publication.
Yeah, it's a Box Tree publication.
But that's no reflection on the story.
Okay, my next sort of yay read of the year, I'm running out of adjectives for that word, is Daisy Jones and the Six. This is a transcript story, documentary style of the rise and demise of a band, the Six and Daisy Jones, a singer who came out of nowhere really and joined the band for this one fabulous album. For those of you old enough to remember Fleetwood Mac and the Rumours album, think that when you read this, and any BBC4 docudramas of bands and musicians. It's very much that feel to it, and I've seen people who've read this book and not liked it because of the style in it's written in, and they don't get it, and it's like, you need to have some kind of experience with either a band of that era because it's set in the 70s, or a docudrama type of storytelling. And of course I've got both, so for me Daisy Jones and the Six was just like perfect. It was like reading Fleetwood Mac's innermost deepest thoughts, all the band members and that, and how they felt about the history and how they got on, and their fallings ins and fallings outs. And I really, really liked it, and I'm really curious to see how the Netflix series is going to work with this.
So my 8th best read of the year was Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Sphinx.
I don't remember that one. I have read it, I don't remember it.
The only other non-novelisation Indiana Jones I'd read was On the White Witch, which was just terrible. This really surprised me. It felt like a genuine Indiana Jones story.
See, it does happen.
Yeah, I shouldn't sound surprised, but like I say, my previous foray into a adventure with Indiana Jones in the novel form was just dire. And so it was really refreshing to read a story that was Indiana Jones from the first page all the way through. Everyone was who they're supposed to be. The action was exciting. We had all the elements in there for many of the films. And yeah, it was a good fun time.
Awesome. I'll try and get you some more then.
Just don't get me another one by the author who did White Witch, because apparently that's not figured either.
Okay, right, fine.
Yeah.
I'll avoid that for you.
I think my only complaint was, because it's quite far into this series, it did refer to a few adventures in the previous books, which I hadn't read, but that's my own fault for not having read them.
I couldn't get my hands on them. You have what I have.
But they weren't plot necessary, and so it was fine. I managed to brush over that. I think, okay, something in the past, moving on.
So another reread here, Retribution Falls by Chris Wooding. This is the first book in the Ketty J series. Awesome.
Love it.
Pirates, steampunk, conspiracy theories. Zombies, supernatural elements, magic, golems. I love this series so much, and I really badly want more. I really want more.
Books. There is only 4.
And it's a quartet, and it's like, I want more.
Chris Wooding, write more, please.
Yeah, please. And then I'm also going to mention Dragon Pearl. This is a middle grade book with Korean mythology in it and sci-fi, which is like a mix I've never come across before. This book had been recommended by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, and I really loved it. It doesn't read like a middle grade. It's a little bit more grown up because we have a casino scene in there, and there's gambling, and there's stuff in there you wouldn't expect for a book for like a 10-year-old. But it's really endearing. It's a sister. She's going to go and find her brother who's been accused of being a traitor from the army. And she's a nine-tailed fox, which is really frowned upon because the fox are tricksters. And so she's keeping that a secret, but also using it to help her and trying to find her brother and this mythical dragon pearl. And it's a really cracking good book. And I don't think enough people are talking about it. I really, really like it.
Okay, my seventh best book was Martin the Warrior, a Redwall book by Brian Jacks.
Oh, it makes me cry.
They all make you cry.
Yeah, that one really makes me cry.
It's a nice origin story for the fabled Martin, who features prominently in the series as a mystical figure. So it's nice to see where he came from. And yeah, it was quite enjoyable. I mean, the books do get a bit samey, to be honest, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was nice, enjoyable, fun.
It's early on enough in the series that actually it's still doing something unique. It's the first one we've had a proper flashback as well.
I would say that the artwork is a little bit off-putting because it's quite cutesy, but it gets dark at places.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Redwall is not for a sensitive child. Not by any stretch.
You know, you think talking animals wearing clothes, being humanish in terms of their anthropomorphism, but...
Then there's torture and death and beheading and yeah, it gets vicious.
It's like the villain turns a corner and finds his henchman nailed to the wall. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, okay, they went there. Okay.
Yeah, which one, it really surprises me why Redwall is always classed as middle grade, and it's like I wouldn't give that to a 10-year-old. The thing is, it is quite complex writing. It's not a middle grade that we have today. It's quite an adult read. But then the content is like, no, I wouldn't give that to a child of 10. I would expect them to be a little bit older. They need to be able to cope with some pretty graphic stuff.
Yeah. And food. So much food.
So much food. I actually found out why there's so much food in the Redwall series. He used to work in a school for blind children and he would read them stories. And he was aware that all the stories had very little description that they could use their imaginations for. So he started writing stories that describe food for the children because, it was during rationing as well.
Okay.
So everything is really descriptive, the smells and the taste and the texture and all that, because he wrote for blind children. And it's like, wow. So yeah, kudos to him. My next yay book of the year is another middle grade, and that's A Wish in the Dark, which is like a Les Miserables retelling, but it's nothing to do with France. Don't worry about that. There are no songs in it either. It's a beautiful book, it really is, and I can't quite remember the main plot, so sorry about that, but it's so beautiful, it's really touching, there's a deep friendship in there, and it's very magical as well. There's this element of magic and science playing in it, but I loved it so much. Again, that was another Gavin recommendation. I highly recommend picking that one up. Again, another one that people are not talking about. Another middle grade that I really loved this year is Wonderscape. This is described as Jumanji meets Ready Player One, which is a pretty apt description. A couple of kids end up falling into this virtual world, which is actually a game, and they have to travel from one zone to another zone, solving the problems, surviving the activities in order to get back home. But there's other stuff going on as well. There is a conspiracy element to it, and there's a mystery as well to be solved. Really enjoyable, and I'm kind of hoping we get a sequel to it.
Okay, my sixth best read of 2020 was Revelation Space by Alistair Reynolds. I sort of tiptoed around Revelation Space a bit. I've read the two spin-off Prefect Dreyfus books, and I've read some short stories but set in that universe. So I finally took the plunge and picked up. It's quite a thick book, Revelation Space. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. He sets up everything in this universe, so there's a lot of world building going on there. I really liked that, and found the story, just despite the fact it was a really thick book, flowed really nicely. Yeah, highly recommend it.
So another favourite of 2020 is The Sound of Stars, which was a debut book. It's a sci-fi romance, and basically the aliens have invaded and they've won. And this is about one girl trying to survive, rescue her family, get her world back, while also kind of falling in love with the enemy. It is a beautiful book. It's told through song and book references because she's a book collector. The alien likes songs. It's a forbidden medium. This alien race are not allowed to have anything to do with emotions or art or music or drama. So all that has been destroyed on planet Earth. I really loved it. I'm hoping for a sequel. It does end on quite a promising note, so it could end there. But I really want more from these characters. I believed in the romance. It was very much enemies to lovers, but it wasn't forced, it wasn't rushed, it was just felt very natural. And it was at one point I was reading and it's like, hold on, when did they fall in love? I hadn't realised until I noticed that actually they had fallen in love. It just felt that natural. They'd gone from hating each other to actually caring quite deeply for each other, and I hadn't noticed the switch. It wasn't obvious, it just flowed naturally. Really enjoyed it. Again, another one that's not being talked about very much in the YA community. Highly recommend this one.
Another one?
I'll do another one, and that is The Kingdom of Copper by... Oh, that's S.A.
Chakraborty.
That's the one. Thank you very much. He does all the pronunciations in this house.
I can read.
Thank you. This is a sequel to The City of Brass, and I love City of Brass. People love City of Brass. You know about City of Brass. The Kingdom of Copper just raises the stakes at next level. There's more going on. There's more twists. There's more turns. There's more political shenanigans going on. And I really need to finish reading The Empire of Gold because this series is going to absolutely break my heart. It really is.
Okay, my number 5 best read of 2020 is Just One Damn Thing After Another by Jodie Taylor.
Yes!
Book 1 of the Chronicles of Mary. She keeps banging on and on and on about this damn series. And so she finally got me to read her the first book. Yeah, I enjoyed it. She said I would, so yeah, no surprises there really. Good fun. I'd like to continue the series. We've talked about it already together, so I'll leave it to that down below if you want.
My next awesome book of the year is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is a black author, own voices, fantasy story that deals with huge issues. There's colonialism, prejudice, sexism, racism, you name it, it's in here. It is brutal. It is hugely intense. I mean, I had to keep putting chapters down and breathing because when you get a fight scene, my God, you get a fight scene. It is so awesome and bloody, and yeah, you're right in there with it. It is an amazing book. I love it so much. I have got the sequel, Fires of Vengeance, to read as an ebook, which I think I'm probably going to whiz through because I have a feeling that it's going to be one of those books. I love the main character. You feel for him, you understand him. He makes stupid mistakes, but you totally get it because of where he comes from. Highly recommend Rage of Dragons, and I think more people need to be aware that this book's out there and need to be sitting down and reading it. Another one I loved this year was Seven Devils. This is a sci-fi, almost Dirty Dozen in space, but there's 7 obviously. And diverse group of characters basically trying to bring down a corrupt empire. Everybody's got secrets, everybody's hiding something, and this world is pretty horrific and grim, and I can really see why these guys want to bring it all crashing down to the ground. I love these characters. They are so quirky and kooky and lovable, and I just care for them quite deeply. There is romance in here, there's LGBTQ representation in here. It is a beautiful book.
Right, number 4 is A Blight of Black Wings by Kevin Hearn. This is book 2 of the 7th Kenning series. I read book 1 3 years ago to Sabrina and we really enjoyed that. Managed to get book 2, so I read that to her last year. And yeah, it literally picks up where the previous book left off. It's almost to the point of, okay, what was this again? Who is this? Where we are?
Yep.
What's going on?
Hold on, I need to do a reread.
It's been over a year since we last read the book. What's going on here? But apart from that, it was just as good, didn't disappoint, kept on par with the original book, and looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah, definitely. So my next 2 favourite books from last year are The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal, which is the first book in the Lady Astronaut series. I've done reviews on this, I've talked about this, I've blogged about this, I tweet pictures of it. I love this series so much. Alternative history, meteorite smashes into Earth in the late 50s, and basically we're on a extinction event, and so the space race steps up a gear and we follow it in America. This series generally deals with sexism, racism, prejudice, politics, science. It's just brilliant. I love it so much. It's really clever, but at no point do I feel stupid reading the science. I actually understand what's been written, which is quite nice. Highly recommend it for someone who wants something different from NASA, really. My other book is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. This is an own voices Cinderella retelling, at which point a young girl decides, no, I'm not playing the role that's been given to me, and basically fights to bring down the whole corrupt male system.
So in third place is Bones Silence by Alistair Reynolds. This is book 3 of the Avenger trilogy. Really enjoyed books 1 and 2. A lot riding on book 3. Book 2 wasn't as good as book 1. But book 3 really did bring the series back up to on par with book 1 again. Really enjoyed it. Surprising twists and turns throughout. And just loved reading it.
My third book of the year, in no particular order obviously, is Saga. The graphic novel series that everybody seems to have discovered last year, which is really interesting. I have read up to volume 5 in the original issue print run. This series is amazing. I'm sorry, it's going to be a word used a lot to describe this graphic novel story. It is sci-fi at its best. It is visually striking. I mean, really, this is one you don't leave around for the children to discover.
Oh no.
Yeah, there are some panels in there that I blush. I seriously did blush at some of the panels in there, and the ones I showed you were tame. But yeah, I love it. It is at heart a family saga, hence the title, of a mixed race girl from two different sides of an eternal war. Basically, two enemies fall in love. They have a child, and this child has set off a political turmoil between the two warring sides. And it's about the family's fight to keep her safe, to survive. And it is brutal because the bad guys, you don't hate them because you're sympathetic towards them, you understand them. That's the cat moving, that's disturbing. Everyone has got likeable sides to them, even those that are really actually not that nice. You still kind of like them in a way. And it's just so honest about how people are just people. And it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. So I've just treated myself and got the bound up compendium of the first 7 volumes. So I will be reading the rest of that when that drops through my door. I can't recommend Saga enough. Certainly, if you've got a teenager who's reluctant to read, around 13 or 14, shove this under their nose because it's mind-blowing. It really is.
Right, so number 2, there's another 2 books here. It's the Firefly books I've read, Big Damn Hero and The Magnificent 9. Extra adventures following our favourite crew of the Serenity, based before the film, and slots somewhere in the series. It doesn't really matter where, but it's extra adventures, and we've been crying out for more Firefly episodes. I can't see it really happening. I know there's talks about a rebuild or remake or
I think it'd be a mistake. I really do now.
This is the next best thing, and 2 really good, enjoyable stories. Looking forward to reading the next 2 this year.
Again, my book 2 in no particular order, favourites of 2020, is Jade City by Fonda Lee. Again, this is compared to The Godfather. Please don't. There are other family crime syndicate stories out there. The Godfather is not the be all and end all, and to be honest, it's pretty damn awful. Jade City, on the other hand, is fantastic. I really wasn't sure if I were going to like this to start off with because I'm not really into the whole family crime syndicate, and I'm not interested. But I actually found that I really liked one of the main characters from the ruling family. And that was it. I walked in the story with her, and my God, it's quite brutal, but a lot of it is off-page brutal. You know, there's torture that happens, but because it's all off-page, as it were, you only see the after effects of it, and it was quite horrific. I mean, there's one scene where a chap's been sent back and he's been dismembered. You know, he's got no limbs, and they've brutally tortured him. And we don't have any of that on the page, but you just see the after effects of this guy having to cope with what's been done to him. It was harsh. Jade City is this like isolated island. The certain people called greenbones can use jade in order to enhance their own physical abilities, so they become stronger, faster, you know, they can jump higher, all that kind of thing. So it's like natural human attributes that are strengthened through the use of jade.
Nice.
But jade can also send you mad. You can crave it, particularly if you're a person who can't handle jade. You become obsessed by having it. So we follow one of those people as well. There's a whole political side of it, because obviously you have ruling clans or criminal units within the island that control each area. And we follow the two main ones, the Mountain Clan. I can't remember the other clan's name.
The other one,
Which is really bad because they're the main one and I can't remember who they are. But we follow those two main ones. And the sequel's called Jade War, so you kind of know where Jade City ends up. It's good. It's good stuff.
Now, my best book of 2020 was one of the first ones I actually read, which was Relics by Tim Lebbon. I got this from the library. Basically, it's an urban fantasy. It goes down the usual path of normal person somehow does the wrong thing and finds themselves embroiled in an urban fantasy type setting. But this is done totally differently to the usual, you know, they're destined for greatness and blah, 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 related to some great big god type thing. No, it's totally different. Really, really interesting. It turns out that I think it's her boyfriend, actually is a trafficker of fairy parts, I should say, and he's got himself over his head really, and she's got to find him and to rescue him. That's some of it really, but really, really interesting, and it's a very different take on the urban fantasy genre.
Yeah, you
loved
really,
it.
Really
Really loved
didn't
it.
you? Yeah. So my final book I'm going to mention is probably no surprise to a lot of people, and that's The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. It's the sequel to The Poppy War. I've got The Burning God on my I must read list today. I really love The Poppy War. I learnt so much from it about the history between China and Japan. It's harsh, it's brutal. I've heard people complain about the Poppy War, saying, oh, they were really looking forward to like a magical academy kind of story. And it's like, yes, but with a title called The Poppy War, where did you think that magical academy was going to go? And you're halfway through the Poppy War, it becomes a war story. It's not about magic training, it is about warfare and what it does to people. And the Dragon Republic really does continue those themes. Rin she's stupid, she's reckless, she makes big mistakes, she makes bad choices. She is as human as they come, dealing with the Phoenix within inside her, who's just literally wanting to burn everything. And, you know, that can't be comfortable having that kind of pressure on you all day. We're in the heart of a war that is not going well, and it's, how do you deal with that? You're on the front lines fighting, which is where we follow Rin, but we also see the consequences of war and how it affects ordinary people and those who have got nothing to do with it. And then you've got this whole other political conspiracies going on between other big players, and they're all pitting each other off each other, and they're trying to use Rin and use her friends and that. And it does leave you in quite a traumatic state by the end of it. You know, again, it's another one of those that's actually quite intense. Once you start reading, you don't put the story down. And I love it. And I have a terrible feeling The Burning God is going to destroy me completely and utterly, because I don't think there's going to be a happy ever after this. I don't think there can be. But The Dragon Republic, you need to read the Poppy War trilogy, people. You've got to. It's just amazing.
There we are. Lots of books there from both of us.
Yeah, put your own suggestions down below in the comments. That would be great. No spoilers, but, you know, certainly titles, what we should be reading. What did you particularly enjoy of 2020? It's probably one of the longest years of our lives, but... yeah.
I've got plenty of time to read though.
Yeah. So yeah, leave those comments down below, please.
Or if you've read the books that we've suggested, what did you think of them? You're allowed to like them, you're allowed to not like them, you're allowed to form your own opinion. But love to know what you thought. But as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you, and until next time, see you later.
Bye.